My daughter disappeared for a month. When I finally walked into her home, what I saw made me collapse to the floor. People assume panic is loud, dramatic, screaming, running, chaos. But mine was silent. My legs simply stopped holding me, and the world tilted as I hit the ground. Let me rewind before the horror swallowed me. I'm Daniel, 59, a father who thought he knew his child. Elise was once my shadow after her mother died, delicate, sensitive, clinging to me like I was the last survivor of her world. I used to tuck her in, promising, "I'm here. I'll never leave you." But adulthood changes people. Some become independent, others disappear. 4 weeks before the day I collapsed, Elise began fading. Calls unanswered, texts unreturned, her laughter gone. I told myself she was busy, working, living life. But fathers can feel when something is wrong. Then came the landlord's call. Her rent was overdue. That wasn't Elise. She paid early, always. The next day, her job reported she resigned by email. Odd tone, her manager said. I drove to her apartment complex, knocked on her door until my knuckles bruised. Nothing. Police dismissed it. Sir, adults disappear by choice all the time. Choice? Elise had nowhere reason to cut me off. Our last conversation haunted me. I told her she was shutting me out, making terrible decisions, surrounding herself with people who didn't care. She hung up. I replayed my words for days, wondering if guilt pulled her away. Then, 31 silent days later, I received a text. Unknown number, 6 words. Go to her apartment. Right now. I didn't think, I ran. Her building looked different than I remembered. Darker, quieter, like the walls were keeping secrets. I used the spare key she'd given me years ago, back when she trusted me.
The lock clicked. The door creaked open, and dread poured over me like cold rain. The smell hit first, metallic, sterile, like bleach covering something rotten. The room was too neat. Elise wasn't neat. She lived in stacked books, scattered sketches, coffee mugs with half-finished tea. But this place looked staged. A warning whispered in the back of my mind. This isn't her life. Her jacket hung perfectly, dishes spotless, the couch cushions aligned with military precision. Then I saw it. A white crib. New, built, decorated, sitting in her living room like it belonged there. Elise never had a baby. Inside the crib was a soft pink blanket, folded like a nurse would do, a pacifier, a plush elephant with button eyes. I froze. A chill ran down my spine. Did Elise have a child? Was she hiding it? Was someone else living here? Questions swarmed me. Ugly, frantic, breath-stealing questions. I touched the crib rail. Cold. Then a sound. Breathing. Soft, shallow, from the back room. Not mine. I moved toward the hallway, each step tightening fear around my ribs. Shadows stretched like hands across the floor. Her bedroom door was slightly open, just enough for dread to spill through. "Elise?" I whispered, voice cracking.
Silence pressed back. I nudged the door with my fingertips. The first thing I saw was her mirror, shattered at the corner as if someone punched it. Her bed was made too neatly. On the nightstand sat a framed picture of us when she was 10, but it was turned backward, like someone didn't want to look at it. Then I saw a pair of shoes, tiny white baby shoes, sitting under her desk. My throat closed. God, Elise, what happened to you? The breathing again, closer, coming from the closet, slow, irregular. An image flashed in my mind. Elise trapped, hurt, hidden. I snatched the closet handle and yanked the door open. Nothing. Just clothes. But on the floor was something worse. A hospital bracelet with Elise's name on it, broken. She was in a hospital recently? Why didn't she tell me? I looked back at the bed, and that's when I noticed something under it. A shoebox. Cardboard. Taped shut like someone didn't want it opened. With shaking hands, I reached for it, dragging it into the light. My gut twisted. Inside were sonogram prints, ultrasound images showing a tiny form. Elise's name printed on the top. My daughter was pregnant? My knees weakened as a realization punched through me. Why didn't she tell me? Who did this happen with? Where is the baby? One photo had something scribbled in red ink on the corner.
He's watching. Don't trust anyone.
My skin crawled. Who was he? Before I could process, a voice spoke behind me, low, cracked, unfamiliar. Dad? I spun around so fast, pain shot through my neck. Elise stood in the doorway, or rather, a version of her. Thin, hollow-eyed, hair unwashed, pale like paper. I gasped and stumbled back. Elise! My God! Where have you? She lifted her hand, silencing me. Don't talk loud, she whispered. He hears everything. My blood iced. Elise, who? What are you talking about? Are you hurt? Where is your baby? Her eyes filled with terror, not sadness, not confusion, terror. He'll be back soon, she murmured. You shouldn't have come. Another foreshadowing tugged inside me. Something worse than what I'd already found was coming. Elise, talk to me, I begged. What happened? Why didn't you call me? She backed away, shaking her head violently. I can't tell you. He'll punish her. Her? My heart froze. The baby, she whispered. He'll hurt her if I talk. My mind reeled. Who was she living with? Who threatened her? Why didn't anyone know? Elise, where is she? Where is the baby? Her eyes darted toward the hallway, then to the front door. He's close, she whispered. Dad, you have to hide. Before I could speak, footsteps echoed outside. Slow, deliberate, approaching the apartment. My pulse roared. Elise's face drained of color. Too late, she breathed. In that moment, in that doorway, I felt the ground shift under my life. And I knew whatever waited behind that door was the reason she disappeared, and the reason I was about to collapse. The footsteps outside Elise's apartment stopped. Silence thickened, stretching so tight it could snap. Elise pressed her back to the wall, arms wrapped around herself like she was bracing for impact. Don't say anything, she mouthed. Her voice was a ghost. Every instinct in me screamed to run, to protect her, to open the door and face whatever monster she meant. But I was frozen, not for fear of whoever stood outside, but by the terror in her eyes. Someone turned the knob. Not fast, slow, testing, savoring.
Elise slipped behind me, trembling so violently I could feel it against my spine. Then, nothing. The knob held still, locked. Seconds bled into minutes. I whispered, barely audible, "Elise, who is he?" She jerked her head sharply, shushing me, her eyes wide with something close to desperation. I had seen fear before. As a soldier in my 20s, during the night I watched my wife die, but Elise's fear was something I didn't recognize. It wasn't the fear of harm. It was the fear of ownership. Finally, the footsteps outside Elise's apartment retreated. Slow steps moving down the hall. Elise sagged against the wall and slid to the floor, knees against her chest.
"He doesn't like surprises?" she whispered. I knelt, forcing my voice steady. "Elise, you have to tell me. What's happening? Who is hurting you?" She wouldn't look up. "You shouldn't have come. He'll be angry." That word, angry, landed with a sickening weight. I cupped her chin gently, lifting her face. "Elise, who is he?" Her lips parted, but no sound came, like invisible hands were choking her words. Then, quietly, "His name is Adrian." Something flickered in my memory. A phone conversation months ago. Elise laughing about someone she met, someone different, someone intense. I chalked it up to infatuation. She continued, voice quivering. "He didn't like how close we used to be. He said, 'Fathers ruin daughters.' He didn't want me talking to you." The air around us thickened. "What did he do to you?" She flinched as if struck. "Everything. He made me quit my job. He made me delete my social media. He took my phone. He said the world doesn't deserve me. Only he does." My stomach knotted with rage. "Elise, is the baby his?" A sob ripped from her, raw and tiny. She nodded. "And where is she?" She shook her head, eyes flooding. "Safe as long as I obey. He has her. She's not here." I felt my blood run cold. The crib, the blanket, a nursery prepared but empty. "He keeps her somewhere else," Elise whispered. "He visits with her sometimes, to remind me what I'll lose if I misbehave." My heart shattered into something sharp.
"Elise, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you call for help?" "He listens," she whispered. "He watches everything. And I thought if I stayed quiet, he might change." She finally looked at me, truly looked, and in her eyes I saw a fracturing that no father should ever witness. "He won't let me leave, Dad. He said if I tried, he'd make sure I never saw her again." I swallowed hard. "We're leaving, right now, you and me. He can't control you anymore." "No," she breathed, panicked. "Dad, you don't understand. He has people, cameras. He sees everything. If we run, he'll know." Then her gaze darted to the ceiling corner and the vent. "Don't look," she hissed. "Don't make it obvious. But he puts recorders there." My heart lurched. A predator disguised as a partner. "Elise, where's the baby now?" Her lips trembled. "With him. Always with him." "Where does he take her?" She swallowed painfully. "His mother's house. In the country. I've only been there twice. He says it keeps her pure." That word made bile rise in me. Before I could respond, Elise stiffened. The doorknob rattled, harder this time. "Elise?" a man's voice called, calm, but coated in danger. She recoiled, clutching my arm. "Don't say anything, please. Let me talk." Every instinct screamed to tear the door open and rip the man apart. But Elisa's grip was iron, her eyes pleading. Hide. Now! I ducked into the bedroom, behind the door, heart pounding, fists clenched.
The front door opened. Elise? Footsteps entered, slow, confident. Who were you speaking to? I wasn't, Elise replied too quickly. His tone sharpened. You're lying again? Footsteps approached the bedroom. I braced. Then something unexpected. He stopped just outside the doorway. His voice softened, dripping poison. Did you miss her today? You know what happens when you're naughty. Her voice cracked. Please, don't. A slap echoed so hard I flinched. I surged forward, but Elise's quick gasp froze me. Be good, he cooed. Maybe I'll let you hold the baby tomorrow. That sentence ignited something primal in me, fury vibrating under my skin. His footsteps retreated into the living room. I peeked through the crack. I saw him, young, early 30s, clean-shaven, polished, a wolf disguised as a conference speaker. Elise stood before him, trembling like a marionette. He stroked her hair with the same hand that hit her. My nails dug into my palm. He turned toward her fridge, humming, unaware of me. I leaned out, just enough to see his face. A realization hit. I'd seen him before. A photo Elise once shared at dinner. The man I dismissed as too intense. That was the night our fight started. He opened the fridge, muttering, then paused, eyes landing on the crib. Did you touch this? He asked coldly. No, she whispered, his head tilted. Because it moved. He gripped her chin. You wouldn't try to mess up my order, would you? I wouldn't. I had to act, but one mistake could cost Elise her child. Suddenly, the silence broke. His phone buzzed. He checked it and cursed under his breath. I have to go, he snapped. Be ready when I get back. He stormed out, slamming the door. The lock clicked. Elise collapsed, sobbing. I moved to her, catching her before she hit the floor. She clung to me like a drowning child. Dad, she whispered, he'll kill me if he finds you. No, I growled, voice shaking with something ancient. He'll never touch you again. But deep inside, fear whispered, how do you defeat a man who thinks he owns everything, including your grandchild? As Elise wept against me, another realization pierced my chest. This wasn't just rescue. This was war. And the worst part? We didn't even know where the baby was. We sat there for what felt like hours, Elise trembling against me, silent tears carving rivers down her pale cheeks. Every shadow in that apartment now seemed alive, waiting, watching. My mind raced, trying to plan a move, a way out. But the walls felt like they had grown overnight, trapping us. Dad, he'll be back, she whispered, voice trembling. And next time, he won't just hit me. I clenched my fists. My stomach churned with rage and helplessness. How could someone so young, so small, hold so much power over her, over my grandchild? Elise, listen to me, I said, trying to steady my voice to sound stronger than I felt. We're going to get her. We're going to get your baby back, but I need you to trust me. She shook her head, panic flooding her eyes. You don't understand. He watches everything. Cameras, phones, sensors. He knows if I even breathe wrong. He'll know you're here. I swallowed hard. Every rational thought told me she was right. This man wasn't ordinary. He was meticulous, calculated, obsessive, and he had her. My daughter, my grandchild. All I could do was think and pray for a way to survive this house alive. I moved to the living room, keeping low, scanning for anything useful. A set of keys, documents, notes, anything that could give us leverage. The crib stared at me, empty, innocent, silent. But it screamed a warning. Whoever Adrian was, he had plans for this child, and Elise was trapped in them. Dad? He keeps a schedule, Elise murmured from behind me. I've memorized it. I know when he leaves, when he comes back, when he checks the cameras. My pulse spiked. That was a sliver of hope. Good, I said quietly. Then we wait, watch, plan, and when the time is right, we move. She nodded slowly, burying her face against my chest. But even in that fragile moment of unity, fear lingered. Something in the air told me this wasn't just a fight for a child. It was a battle with a man who had convinced my daughter she had no power, no allies, no escape. I thought back to the day she disappeared. The small arguments, her growing distance, the veiled warnings in her voice that I ignored. I had been blind, complacent, and now, watching her shake in front of me, I felt the weight of every missed signal, every misstep. Dad, can you promise me something? Anything, I said. Promise you won't leave me. Promise you won't let him take her. I tightened my hold on her. I swear it, Elise, no matter what. But inside, I knew words weren't enough. Actions were what counted now.
The hours crept by, stretching impossibly long. I could hear the faint hum of the city outside, indifferent to the terror unfolding in this apartment. Elise stayed glued to my side, sometimes whispering fragments of Adrian's habits, the routines he forced upon her, the manipulations, the threats. And then she said something that froze me. Dad, he's not the only one. I stiffened. What do you mean? Her voice dropped to a whisper. There's someone helping him. Someone I trusted. Someone I thought was my friend. My stomach knotted. The thought of betrayal, someone in Elise's circle aiding Adrian, twisted the blade in my gut. Trust had already failed her once. Now hidden hands were at work, keeping her under control. Who? I asked, barely able to force the word out. She hesitated, trembling, before finally whispering, Jelani. She set this up, Dad. She told him where I was, Dad. She told him everything. The betrayal hit like a hammer. Jelani, Elise's closest friend, someone I had thought a guardian of sorts, complicit in this nightmare. My rage burned white hot, but I swallowed it. Right now, we needed clarity, not reckless action. Listen, I said quietly. We have to assume he knows we're here now. Every camera, every sensor, every possible listener, he's watching for us. But we have a sliver of time before his next check. That's all we get. She nodded, wiping tears from her cheeks, determination flickering behind her terror. The child, our child, was counting on us. I moved around the apartment, examining every possible exit, every hiding place. Windows? Locked. Fire escape? Rusted, shaky. Could we make it? Could we escape without alerting Adrian?
Suddenly, Elise pointed toward a vent near the ceiling. He doesn't check this one. I've hidden things here before. I tilted my head, inspecting it. A tight crawl space. Not ideal, but it could work. Temporary cover, at least. I need to secure something to climb in and out quickly. A plan for escape, and a plan for confronting the truth. Adrian's unpredictability was the greatest threat. He didn't just control her, he orchestrated every moment, every perception to make her dependent, scared, silent. Every second we spent here, waiting, I realized was a test, a challenge, a warning. And then it hit me, the mid-story twist I had been sensing for weeks. This wasn't just about Elise. This wasn't just about a child. Adrian's obsession ran deeper. He wanted to break her completely, to erase her autonomy. And if Jelani was involved, the network of betrayal extended farther than I feared. We weren't merely escaping a man. We were stepping into a web of deceit that had been woven long before Elise disappeared. My hand shook as I looked at her. We need to get her out, no matter what. Tonight. We plan, we move, and we survive. Her nod was resolute now, fear tempered by necessity. Dad, we can do this, but you have to be ready. I've seen what he can do. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I had trained for danger in my younger days, faced threats most men couldn't imagine, but nothing prepared me for the fragility in Elise's voice, for the stakes now, for the helplessness I felt for my grandchild's safety. I studied the clock, minutes ticking, heartbeats counting down to the next step of this nightmare. And then a noise, faint, deliberate, almost imperceptible, came from the hallway outside. A second set of footsteps. Not Adrian. Someone else. Someone moving carefully, almost reverently, as if aware of our presence but unsure. I froze, heart hammering. Elisa's hand clutched mine tightly. Dad, hide, now. I looked at the vent, the narrow crawl space, the only temporary salvation in this apartment turned prison. I had to make a choice. Move now, or risk being discovered by whoever had entered.
We crouched low, silence pressing against us, breath held, every fiber of my being alert. The unknown figure moved closer, paused, and then I realized this was the turning point, the moment before revelation, before confrontation, the moment where nothing could be undone. And I knew when we emerged from that crawl space, we would see truths that could destroy us. And yet we had no choice. For the baby, for Elise, we had to face it all. We crawled into the vent, the metal cold against our skin. My hands scraped against the edges, small cuts forming, but I barely noticed. The air was stale, heavy, the darkness so complete I could feel it pressing against my chest. Elise followed me, silent, trembling, but determined. Every inch of that crawl space felt like entering a grave, narrow, suffocating, yet it was the only path left. Above us, I could hear them moving. Adrian's voice, Jelani's voice. My stomach knotted as fragments of their conversation reached us through the metal. Words, half muffled, but enough to make my blood run cold. She's hiding again, Jelani said, calm, almost bored. She can't run forever, Adrian replied. I'll find her, and the baby, she's mine to control. I pressed myself closer to the vent wall, trying to disappear into the shadows. I could feel Elisa's body shaking next to me. Her whispered sobs were barely audible. Every fiber of my being screamed to act, to rip through that door. But I knew doing so would end in disaster. Minutes passed, hours it seemed. Time warped in that cramped metal tube. The sound of footsteps faded slowly, and finally silence. Elise exhaled, a whisper of relief escaping her lips. She said, I think they laughed. Her voice was weak, but there was a flicker of hope. I nodded, trying to reassure both of us. Good, but this isn't over, not even close. We need to move, now. She leaned against me, whispering, Where do we go? We're safe. I thought quickly. The apartment had no exits we could use without detection. Our only advantage was the knowledge she had about Adrian's patterns, when he left, when he checked cameras, the routes he trusted. That gave us time, but limited, precious minutes. I made a decision. We get the car. I memorized the back alley routes. He won't expect us to leave that way.
Her eyes widened. You're sure? I nodded, forcing confidence I didn't feel. I've faced danger before. This isn't the first time I've protected someone I love. We do this carefully, step by step. We crawled back to her bedroom, slowly, silently, every creak of the floor sounding like a gunshot in the quiet apartment. The crib loomed in the living room, a silent reminder of what was at stake. I couldn't let Adrian see it empty, but right now, our priority was Elise and surviving this night. We reached the bedroom door. I opened it slightly. The coast seemed clear. I moved first, Elise following, both of us barely breathing. I stopped. Something caught my eye. A camera hidden near the ceiling corner. One of the vents, the very one we had crawled through, had a tiny lens peering down at us. Adrian had recorded us. All of us. Every hesitation, every whisper, every movement. My stomach churned. I clenched my fists. This was bigger than I thought. He had eyes everywhere, and Jelani's betrayal meant we had few allies. Anyone we trusted could be watching, could be feeding him information. Elise gasped quietly. I knew it. I told you. I gritted my teeth. We adapt. We improvise. No one sees us move. I grabbed a few essentials. Keys, a flashlight, anything we could use to create a distraction or cover our escape. Every second mattered. I motioned for Elise to follow me. Stay close, stay quiet, and don't look back. We made our way toward the fire escape I had scoped earlier. Rusted, shaky, but manageable. I tested it with my weight first. It groaned, but held. We moved quickly, descending floor by floor, silently praying the building remained empty. Halfway down, I heard a voice above. Jelani. Her tone, calm, chilling, deliberate. I know you're leaving, but he'll find you, always. My heart slammed. I looked at Elise. She was pale, shaking, but determined. I whispered, Ignore her. She's trying to scare us. Focus on moving. We continued down, floor by floor, descending into the alley below. The night air hit us like a shockwave, cold, sharp, freeing. For the first time in a month, we were outside, breathing unfiltered air. But the danger wasn't gone, not even close. I scanned the street, empty, safe for now. I grabbed Elise's hand. The car, let's move. We reached the vehicle, parked in the shadow of a neighboring building. I unlocked it quickly, slipping inside with Elise, checking the rearview mirror for anyone following. Nothing. Silence. Too quiet. I started the engine slowly, heart still racing. We're not out of this yet. We need to go somewhere he can't find us, somewhere safe. Elise nodded, voice trembling but resolute. Where is that? I have a friend, I said, someone I trust completely. He's helped me before. He owes me favors. We can stay there, plan the next move, and then we take the baby back. Her hands gripped mine tightly. I don't know if I can't lose her, Dad. You won't, I said, my voice firm. I swear on my life, I won't let him take her. Not now, not ever. The drive was tense. Every shadow, every passing car, every sound made us flinch. I kept checking the rearview mirror for anyone following, but nothing. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, like Adrian had eyes everywhere, even in the darkness. I stole a glance at Elise. She was quiet, lost in thought, but her eyes betrayed fear and determination. My daughter had been broken by this man, but she was still resilient. I realized then that survival wasn't just about getting away. It was about keeping her strong enough to fight back. We drove in silence for what felt like hours, the city blurring past in streaks of yellow and gray. Finally, I turned down an old side road, away from main streets, toward a secluded house that belonged to a trusted old friend, someone who owed me for saving his life years ago. Someone who had walls, cameras, and resources that Adrian couldn't easily penetrate. We arrived at the house, and I parked in the shadows. I helped Elise out of the car and led her inside quickly. The door shut behind us, locking with a satisfying click. For the first time that night, I allowed myself to breathe. She slumped against the wall, relief flooding her face. I can't believe we made it, she whispered. I hugged her tightly, whispering, "We're safe for now, but we have work to do. We find the baby, we stop him, and we make sure this nightmare ends." Her tears fell again, but this time I sensed something different. Hope. A flicker of courage, a recognition that we were together, and together we might just have a chance.
But deep down, I knew the truth. The hardest part wasn't just escaping Adrian, it was facing the betrayal, uncovering the secrets, and confronting the man who had manipulated, trapped, and terrified my daughter. And I knew the final confrontation would come soon. The next steps would determine the fate of Elise, the baby, and possibly my own life. As we sat there planning, I realized the journey had only just begun. The crawl space, the vent, the fire escape, they were all minor hurdles compared to what lay ahead. Adrian was patient, methodical, and ruthless. Jelani was deceptive, calculated, and complicit. And yet, we had each other. For the first time in weeks, I allowed a thought to surface. We might actually survive this. We might actually win. But that thought was fragile. And I knew, in my bones, the worst was yet to come. We stayed in that safe house barely an hour before Elise's restlessness became unbearable. She paced the small living room, wringing her hands, muttering fragments of thoughts I couldn't fully catch. Her eyes darted to every window, every shadow, as if Adrian's presence still lingered in the corners. "You have to stop pacing," I said quietly, trying to sound firm. "We need a plan, Elise, not panic." She stopped for a moment, glancing at me, her eyes wide and haunted. "Dad, I can't stop thinking about her, my baby. I don't even know if she's okay. He's probably holding her, showing her things she shouldn't see, teaching her the wrong world." My chest tightened. She said it so casually, but the weight of those words sank deep into my soul. A tiny life completely at the mercy of a maniac. The rage that had been simmering in me for weeks flared, but I forced myself to stay calm. Panic wouldn't help us. Strategy would. "Listen to me. We get her back, step by step. No mistakes. We start by figuring out where he keeps her. Then we move in. We take her and we get out. You understand?" Elise nodded, but her eyes betrayed fear. "And Jelani? She's part of this. She'll warn him if we try anything." I clenched my jaw. Betrayal stung, but I had to focus. "Then we neutralize her first. We use her to our advantage. People like her always leave a trace. We just have to find it." Her breath caught. You really think we can do this?" I looked her straight in the eyes. "I don't think, Elise. I know. We have to." We spent hours piecing together what little information she had, Adrian's habits, his routines, his methods of intimidation. She had memorized every movement, every check, every route he took. We mapped it all on scraps of paper, post-it notes in the back of a cereal box. "He always visits her at 9 a.m., she said. "Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Never the other days. He doesn't trust anyone with her on the weekends. I've tried to figure out why, but I can't. He's unpredictable." That pattern gave us a window, 3 days a week to act, and a narrow one at that. "And the house in the country?" I asked. She nodded. "He owns it through a company. No records in my name, security cameras everywhere, guards. I've only been there twice, and I had to sneak in and out." I leaned back, absorbing the reality. "This won't be easy," I said. "It's going to be dangerous, but we don't have a choice." The plan began to take shape. Reconnaissance first, then distraction, then extraction. It had to be precise, calculated, executed without mistakes. Every second mattered. One slip, and we could lose her forever. As we worked, I noticed a shift in Elise. Fear was still there, but determination replaced some of it. The same spark I remembered from her childhood, the spark that made her resilient, flickered back. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. I froze. Elise stiffened beside me. "It's probably someone helping," she whispered, almost hoping. I shook my head. No one helps Adrian willingly. I moved to the door cautiously, peering through the peephole. Outside stood a delivery man with a small package. No uniform, no identification. Just a box. Elise froze. "Don't open it. It's him. It's a trap." But curiosity gnawed at me. I grabbed a flashlight, shining it on the box. No markings, no sender, just a plain cardboard box, sealed with tape. Against my better judgment, I opened it. Inside were a pair of baby shoes, identical to the ones Elise had under her desk, and a small note. "You can't hide from what's yours. She waits, always waits." I felt bile rise in my throat. Adrian wasn't just watching us, he was taunting us, mocking us. Every nerve in my body screamed to burn the note, destroy the shoes, to retaliate. But I forced myself to stay calm. Rage would get us killed. Elise's hand trembled as she picked up the shoes. He wants me to panic," she said quietly. "He wants me to be afraid." "Yes," I said, voice low, "and we won't. Fear is his weapon. We refuse to give it to him." That night, we lay awake, whispering strategies, memorizing streets, calculating timing. Sleep barely touched us. Every creak, every passing car, every whisper of wind became a potential threat. But amid exhaustion, I noticed something. Elise's mind was sharper than I expected. She had survived months of terror, deception, and manipulation. She was more prepared than I gave her credit. By dawn, we had a plan. Reconnaissance first. Watch from afar. Identify guards, cameras, patterns. Then a distraction to draw attention away from the house. Then the extraction. Brief, fast, precise, no mistakes. We were ready. Or so I thought. As we packed our makeshift gear, flashlights, ropes, gloves, small tools, a sound outside froze us. A soft click at the door. Not a knock, not a shove, a click. Elise grabbed my arm. "Dad, he's here." I felt every muscle tighten. Adrenaline surged, sharpening senses I hadn't felt in years. We had spent weeks planning this moment in our minds, but now reality slammed into us. Adrian had found our location. I crouched near the window, peering through the blinds. Shadows moved across the walls outside. One figure, then another. Two people moving deliberately, scanning the perimeter. My pulse thundered. They weren't here to negotiate. They were here to eliminate threats. "Elise," I said, voice tight. "We move now. No hesitation." She nodded, swallowing hard, determination stealing her trembling hands. "Let's get her back," she said. We slipped out the back, careful to stay in shadows. I led the way, keeping close to walls, to corners, every movement deliberate, rehearsed. Our hearts pounded in unison, father and daughter, two survivors bound by love and fear. We reached the car, parked in the narrow alleyway. No lights, no movement in sight. I started the engine, keeping my voice low. "Drive. Fast. Keep your head down. We're not out yet." Elise obeyed, hands gripping the wheel. Every turn, every lane change, every quiet street brought us closer to Adrian's house, closer to the nightmare that awaited. And yet, even in that tension, a glimmer of hope emerged.
We had the knowledge, we had each other, and we had the will to fight. But deep in my chest, I knew the confrontation was inevitable. Soon we would face Adrian, Jelani, the truth about what had happened to Elise, and the fate of the baby. And when that moment came, only one of us could emerge unbroken. The drive to Adrian's country house was tense beyond measure. Every mile stretched like a lifetime, every passing tree, every curve in the road, making my pulse hammer in my ears. Elise stayed silent, hands white-knuckled on the wheel, her jaw tight, eyes darting nervously to every rearview glance. I kept my voice low, calm, measured. We're close. Remember what we planned. Timing is everything. We wait for him to leave his cameras, his guards, unobserved. Then we move. Elise nodded, swallowing hard. Her courage was a fragile veneer over raw terror, but I knew she had survived so far because of it. As we approached the house, I slowed, keeping to the shadows, watching for any sign of life. It was a large, secluded estate, surrounded by high walls and cameras at every corner. The driveway stretched like a gauntlet. "Dad, how do we get past the cameras?" Elise whispered. "Blind spots," I murmured. "He trusts routine. There are always blind spots." We crept forward, using trees and shadows as cover, slipping past the first set of sensors. My heart thundered with each calculated step. One misstep, one light flicker, and Adrian would know we were here. The guardhouse was empty, as Elise predicted. I signaled her to stay low while I scouted the perimeter. 2 cameras rotated methodically, robotic. I marked the timing, counted the seconds. When the lens turned away, we slipped past, pressed against the wall. The estate was silent, almost oppressively so. I could feel the tension radiating off Elise, her grip tightening on my arm. I whispered, "Stay focused, don't panic, we're close." We reached a side door. It had a lock, but not one I couldn't pick. I knelt, working with the tools I had brought. Seconds felt like hours. Every creak, every shuffle in the shadows could signal the end of everything. Click. The lock yielded. We slipped inside. The air was heavy with the scent of antiseptic and something faintly metallic. My stomach churned. This was Adrian's domain. Every corner was likely wired, every room a potential trap. Elise clutched my hand. "Dad, she's here, isn't she?" I didn't answer. My silence was both reassurance and warning. I could hear movement upstairs, light footsteps. We crept toward the staircase, staying in the shadows. Each step creaked softly beneath our weight, echoing like a whisper. The house seemed to hold its breath with us, waiting, watching. At the top, the hallway stretched narrow, lined with portraits I had never seen. Elise recognized one, her baby's nursery, at the far end. The door was slightly ajar. I froze. "She's there," Elise whispered. The baby's crying was faint, fragile. My chest tightened. Relief and fear collided. One wrong move, one wrong step, and Adrian could appear. I motioned Elise to stay low as I edged closer to the nursery door. The crying grew louder, each note a dagger in my heart. The baby was alive, safe for now. But for how long? I peeked inside. A crib, exactly like the one in Elise's apartment, filled the room. The baby stirred, tiny fists clenching. Elise whispered, "She's so small, so helpless." I glanced around. Adrian wasn't there, but the room was pristine, unnaturally so. Cameras in the corners, sensors near the crib, surveillance everywhere. We needed to act fast. I turned to Elise. "We'll get her, But we needed distraction, something loud enough to draw attention, but not enough to alert him immediately. She nodded, understanding instantly. The garden, the fountain. I can make a noise there, draw them away. I approved. Timing had to be perfect. We counted our breaths, synchronized our movements. Elise slipped toward the garden, silent as a shadow. I stayed behind the nursery door, every nerve taut. Seconds stretched. The baby's crying continued, unaware of the danger, unaware of the plan unfolding around her.
Then, a shout, loud, deliberate, from the garden. Footsteps scrambled, voices confused, disoriented. The distraction worked. I edged closer to the crib, heart hammering. Elise returned silently, guiding me, and together we lifted the baby. She weighed less than I expected, fragile but breathing. My heart swelled with hope and terror at once. "Quick," I whispered, "we move now." We retraced our steps, pressing against walls, avoiding cameras. Each step felt eternal. Every sound could be Adrian's arrival. But luck, or perhaps preparation, kept us undetected. The staircase loomed. A single creak threatened to betray us, but Elise froze, holding me, heart in her throat. I forced calm, leading us carefully down. Halfway, the door at the bottom opened. A figure stepped out. Jelani. Her eyes widened, recognition flashing, then cold calculation. "I knew you'd come," she said, "but you won't leave." Elise gasped, gripping the baby tightly. I felt fury surge. Betrayal turned to steel. "I warned you," Jelani said. "I'm not stopping him. You shouldn't have come." I stepped forward, voice low and dangerous. "Move aside, Jelani. Now." Her laugh was soft, chilling. "You can't stop what's been planned for months. Adrian controls everything. You'll never take her from him." My mind raced. We couldn't fight her openly, too risky. But I could use her arrogance against her. "Watch me," I said quietly, and lunged, grabbing her arm. She struggled, but I forced her into a corner, holding her there as Elise and I moved toward the exit. Jelani screamed, but it was muffled by walls. She couldn't call anyone without risk. I shoved her to the side, enough to slow her, but not enough to harm her physically. We reached the car, adrenaline surging. Elise climbed in first with the baby, and I followed, slamming the door shut. Engine roaring, tire squealing, we sped down the dark road, leaving the house behind. My chest heaved. Elise sobbed quietly, clutching the baby. Relief washed over me, but fear still lingered. We had escaped. For now. But Adrian and Jelani would hunt us, and the truth of their obsession, their manipulation, was far from over. I looked at my daughter and grandchild, alive, safe, and yet my mind knew the final confrontation loomed. This night, this escape, was only the beginning. The car sped through darkened country roads, the baby nestled in Elise's arms, her soft cries breaking the tense silence. Every passing tree, every shadowed bend felt like a trap, like Adrian was waiting in the darkness, watching, ready to strike. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles whitened, yet every nerve screamed to remain calm. Panic now would be fatal. "Elise," I whispered, voice low, "we're almost to the safe house. Stay with me. Don't let fear control you." Her eyes, wide and haunted, met mine. "Dad, do you think he'll come after us?" I swallowed, the weight of reality pressing down on me. He will. Adrian always comes after what he believes is his, but he underestimates us now. He doesn't know what we've planned. Her trembling hands tightened around the baby. I hope you're right." We arrived at the second safe house,
more secure, fortified, hidden deep in the woods. My friend had prepared for emergencies like this, anticipating danger that few could imagine. As we stepped out of the car, the crisp night air filled our lungs, a fleeting taste of freedom. Inside, the baby cried softly, and I placed her in a makeshift crib, checking her fragile breathing. Elise knelt beside her, tears streaking her face, fingers brushing the soft hair. "She's okay," I whispered. "For now. We have to make sure it stays that way." Elise nodded, her voice a whisper. I can't believe she's finally safe." We spent hours planning, mapping Adrian's likely moves, predicting how he might retaliate. Jelani's betrayal weighed heavily. She was a wild card, someone who had been inside Elise's life, feeding information, and now she knew exactly where we were. "I need to face them," Elise said suddenly. Her voice, though small, carried determination. "I can't run forever. I need to confront him, for me, and for her." I froze. My heart pounded. "Elise, we can't. He's dangerous. We need a plan, a strategy, not confrontation." "No," she said firmly. "I can't live like this. The fear, it's eating me alive. And if I face him, maybe we can end this. Maybe we can take back control." Her resolve was frightening and inspiring. I knew she had survived Adrian's manipulation for months because she had a strength she hadn't realized. But facing him, it was risky, deadly. One misstep, and we could lose everything. I swallowed, finally nodding. "All right, but we do it smart, calculated, no mistakes." We mapped the approach carefully. Elise would lure Adrian into a controlled environment. I would follow, concealed, ready to intervene if necessary. Jelani's involvement had to be neutralized first. Her arrogance made her predictable. She'd underestimate us, and that would be our advantage. The night of the confrontation arrived. We moved under darkness, every movement precise, every shadow our ally. My heart raced with anticipation and fear. Elise's hands gripped the baby tightly, eyes forward, jaw set. We reached the abandoned warehouse Adrian used for private meetings, isolated, secure, and perfect for a trap. Elise stepped inside, her voice calm, but carrying just enough to draw attention. "Adrian," she called, "we need to talk." A shadow shifted. He emerged from the darkness, tall, composed, eyes cold as ice. Jelani followed, expression smug. They thought they controlled everything. They thought they were untouchable. "Elise," Adrian said, voice smooth, venomous. "I wondered when you'd show your face again." "I'm done," she said, voice trembling yet firm. "You have no power over me, and you have no power over her." He laughed softly, a sound that sent shivers down my spine. "You really believe that? After everything?" I stayed hidden, heart hammering, watching her confront the man who had tormented her for months. Jelani's eyes flicked to me for a split second, then back to Elise. "You lied to me," Elise said, stepping closer. "Jelani, you betrayed me. How could you?" Jelani's smirk faltered. "I did what had to be done. You were weak. He's stronger." Elise's eyes blazed. "No, I was never weak. You just wanted to control me for him, but not anymore."
"Dad," Elise whispered, "I need you." I nodded. Together we moved in, a silent team. Jelani stepped back, realizing too late that she had misjudged us. I advanced slowly, keeping distance but ready to strike if needed. Adrian's calm demeanor wavered, just slightly. "You think you can take her from me?" "I don't think," I said, voice low, deadly. "I know." The tension stretched impossibly long. Every heartbeat was amplified, every breath a countdown. Adrian's control over Elise had been absolute, but now, with her courage and our planning, that control was fracturing. Suddenly, Elise stepped forward, baby in arms. "She belongs with me," she said, voice ringing with authority. "Not you, not Jelani, not anyone who thinks fear can control love." Adrian faltered. His eyes flickered between us, rage and disbelief warring. Jelani's face paled. The facade of control began to crack. In that moment, I realized the power wasn't in weapons, in threats, or in surveillance. It was in love, in courage, in the bond between a mother, a father, and a child. Adrian took a step back. "This isn't over," he hissed. Elise tightened her hold on the baby. "It is. Today, we're done being afraid." Jelani, realizing her role was over, slinked back, silent, defeated. I exhaled a long, shuddering breath. The confrontation wasn't violent, but it was decisive. Control had shifted. Fear had been broken. We left the warehouse together, the baby safe in Elise's arms, stepping into the dawn of a new day. As we drove back to the safe house, silence enveloped us, not the suffocating silence of fear, but the heavy, reflective silence of survival. I glanced at Elise. She was exhausted but free, determined, whole in ways she hadn't been for months. And I realized with a mix of relief and sorrow that while Adrian and Jelani had been defeated, the emotional scars would remain. Fear leaves traces. Betrayal leaves traces. But so does love. Courage leaves traces too. Elise leaned back, baby sleeping peacefully. "We did it," she whispered, almost to herself. "Yes," I said softly, "we did. And we'll keep doing it. For her. For us."
But deep in my chest, I knew. The memory of Adrian's gaze, Jelani's betrayal, the darkness we had endured, would never fully leave. Yet for the first time in a long time, we were free. The first light of dawn filtered through the curtains, soft and almost tender after the darkness we had endured. Elise sat on the edge of the bed, cradling the baby. Her eyes were red from tears, but for the first time in weeks that was calm, relief, a fragile, quiet sense of victory. I sank into the chair opposite her, exhausted in every muscle, every nerve, every thought. My body ached, my mind was raw with adrenaline, and yet the weight pressing on my chest wasn't just fatigue. It was the remnants of fear, of horror, of betrayal. We had survived Adrian. Jelani's treachery had been exposed. The baby was safe. And yet, the emotional wound lingered. It wasn't enough to win. We had to heal, slowly, painfully, with each passing day. Elise's voice was soft. "Dad, I can't stop thinking about the months she was gone, the things I imagined, the things he made me fear." Her hands shook as she brushed the baby's hair. "I feel broken." I moved to her side, placing a steadying hand on her shoulder. "You're not broken, Elise. You survived. You protected her. That strength, that courage, it's everything." She shook her head. "But the betrayal, Jelani, how could someone I trusted help him? I keep seeing her face, smiling while she betrayed me. I feel so stupid." I swallowed hard. "No, don't let him or her make you doubt yourself. You were manipulated, yes, but that doesn't diminish your strength. It doesn't diminish your courage. And it doesn't diminish your love for your daughter. That love, it's what saved you all." The baby stirred in her arms, soft cries echoing through the quiet room. Elise leaned forward, pressing her cheek to the tiny head. I watched them, marveling at the resilience of life, at the unbreakable bond of mother and child. And then I realized something. The collapse moment I had feared for so long wasn't about bodies, screams, or violence. It wasn't in the confrontation, or the chase, or even the terror we had endured. The collapse came now, in the quiet, when the adrenaline ebbed, when reality sank in. All the fear, all the terror,
All the helplessness we had carried, it hit me like a wave. I sank to the floor beside them, gasping, tears threatening. Elise looked down at me, confusion and worry crossing her features. "Dad?" she asked, voice shaking. I managed a breathless laugh, choking back sobs. I'm okay. It's all too much. It's over, and yet it isn't. The memories, the fear, it's still here. She knelt beside me, hands on my shoulders. I feel it too, but we're alive. We're together, and that counts for everything. I nodded, tears finally spilling uncontrolled. Relief, terror, exhaustion, and love, all merging into one raw, overwhelming moment. The collapse wasn't weakness. It was the release of months of tension, of helplessness, of near constant dread. We sat like that for a long time, silent, the baby cooing softly in Elise's arms, the quiet hum of a house that had never felt safer. I thought of Adrian, of Jelani, of the fear and control they had wielded. They were defeated, yes, but the scars remained. Fear leaves a mark. Betrayal leaves a mark. And yet, so does courage. So does love. Elise finally spoke, voice firm despite exhaustion. We have to move forward. We can't stay in hiding forever. She needs stability. I need to rebuild my life, our life. I looked at her, the weight of every struggle we had faced reflected in her eyes. Yes, and we will. Step by step, slowly, carefully, but we move forward. We survive and we thrive. That's the promise I make to both of you. She nodded, determination flickering through her fatigue. The baby yawned, tiny fists stretching, a symbol of innocence and resilience. My heart ached, full and heavy, realizing the depth of what had been lost and what we had regained. And then, in the quiet, a thought surfaced, a reflection that struck deeper than any confrontation, any chase, any threat. Life doesn't simply return to normal after trauma. There is always a wound, a memory, a shadow of fear, but strength is built in surviving it. Courage is forged in facing it, and love, unyielding, unconditional, is the force that carries us through. I watched Elise cradle the baby, the weight of the world still etched in her young face, and I realized that the battle had been won, but the emotional journey would continue. That was the truth, the raw, honest, unflinching truth of survival.
We had justice, we had safety, and yet we had memories that would never fully leave. The darkness of Adrian and Jelani would always linger somewhere in the corners of our minds, but it would not control us. I exhaled slowly, letting the silence wash over me. The baby slept. Elise finally rested, head tilted against mine. And in that quiet, I understood something profound. The fight for freedom, for love, for life isn't about eliminating fear. It's about moving forward despite it. And as the first rays of sunlight filtered through the window, casting warmth across the room, I whispered, almost to myself, we are free, and we will survive, always. Elisa's small voice answered, calm and resolute, always. And for the first time in weeks, maybe months, the world felt like it could be ours again. Fragile, tentative, but alive with possibility. The nightmare had ended. The collapse had come as expected, but it brought clarity, reflection, and a strange, painful kind of hope. We had endured.
We had survived, and the bond between us, between a mother, a father, and a child, had proven unbreakable. It would never be the same. Life was forever altered by what we had faced. But in that permanence, I found something almost miraculous: the quiet strength of survival, the lingering light of love, and the knowledge that even after darkness, we could still rise.